Hi, I'm Hans Hinrichsen with ETC Technical Services, and today we're going to look at a few of the improvements we've made in EOS 2.3.2 and EOS 2.3.3. A new feature I wanted to talk about is color coding in direct selects. You notice on my screen here, various objects have different colors associated with them. As I go to select, it'll show those different colors. As I select channels, the highlighting will also change to show what is available and what is not available for that channel. Also notice that the color palettes will have a little color flag on them. We can also update single monitor snapshots now. So if I wanted to add an extra direct select module, say I wanted to have macros and put that into a flexi mode, I can come into my display management tool, right click or press and hold on the snapshot and say update snapshot, and that'll now be stored for future snapshot use. We also have symbols available now on our keyboard for labeling. So if I wanted to label a Q, I could say Q2 label, and the symbol mode of our keyboard will come up. It's toggled in the left-hand corner here, so I could label intermission and go to symbols and add a smiley face. And that's now stored and shows up on all of my connected consoles. There's a new setup option called Emergency Mark. What Emergency Mark does, it's over here in desk settings. There are two options for it, latest and earliest. When I add a mark, and I tell it to mark earliest, or mark earliest M, if there isn't a mark available, what happens is it'll mark in the previous queue. When I choose mark earliest, and I say mark earliest M, if there isn't a mark available, it will go all the way back to the soonest that it can mark and add a mark there for my channels. We have a few improvements in patch. As I look in patch, down at the bottom of the screen, it will note our ArtNet offset and SACN offset, which we'll look at over in the shell. In addition, as I patch a channel, I have an option to search for that type. So if in patch, I click search, and I can say look for a color source spot. The list automatically filters. This shows the DMX footprint right next to the fixture name. I can double click on it, and that is now patched as that type and available for use. A new feature we have available in Absolute Effects is control over parameter specific actions and step times. So I'm going to bring up this effect on a few channels. It's going to be just sort of a sweep out above the audience. And if we look at this effect in blind, you'll see the two new columns for parameter and step time. Parameter lets us apply a particular action to only a certain parameter on a fixture or a collection of fixtures. And the step time now gives you more granularity over the time in which it moves between actions in the effect. It used to be a combination of time and dwell, and now you can shorten that time or lengthen that time depending on your needs. In this case, you can see that action 1 is still time and dwell. It's in gray, showing that it's still using the default time. In action 2, we added a step time of 8 seconds to give it a little extra time as it sweeps up. In this effect, action 1 controls the intensity of the fixtures and sets them into an intensity palette that turns them on. Action 2 is a pan tilt action that pans them up above the audience. Action 3 is the intensity palette that turns them back off. And then action 4 is the focus palette that resets it back to the position upstage. One exciting Magic Sheet feature we've added is the ability to put a fader on a Magic Sheet. In this case, I have Submaster 1, and as I bring that up, it's controlling that Submaster live. And I still have the same buttons available as I would on a regular fader. So in this case, the top button is Group Sub 1 when that fader is down. To configure that, I can map the Submaster live by hitting the load key. In setup, I can also specify the fader number for the fader object to be mapped to. In blind on the Magic Sheet, I can configure the fader either by absolute fader number, so in this case, Submaster 1 is on fader 5, or I can also give it in the page and fader notation. So 1/5 is fader page 1, fader number 5. We've added a new flexi state. It's called Flexi in Use. So as I toggle into that, it's under More Soft Keys, In Use. You'll see on my screen here that it shows anything that would be in Flexi active, but also shows any fixtures that are presently marking. In this case, you'd see channels 1 through 5 at full in sub 1, and then these color blast fixtures which are marking for Q3. An improvement in the shell that we've made is under the Software Update tab. It will show me anything that's on a flash drive, any of our software updates, either as an exe or as the zip file. And I can, once I choose to install, I can check the Archive Installer button, and what this will do is it'll put it on my hard drive for future use. In the Network tab of the shell, we've added a Streaming ACN Universe Offset tool. This allows us to address any SACN universe that's defined in the spec, so 1 to 63,999. We've had an ArtNet universe offset as well, and that similarly allows us to address any universe allowed in the ArtNet spec. Finally, in the Maintenance tab, we now have the option to backup system settings and restore system settings. So these system settings are what you see in the shell. To back it up, I just click on Backup System Settings, and I select the drive I'd like to back it up to. In this case, I'd like to go to this flash drive, and I hit Accept. It'll confirm that it's saved those settings there. To restore system settings, click on Restore System Settings, and it'll show any available on the flash drive. In this case, I'll choose the backup from another geo, hit OK, and it'll confirm that the system settings have been restored. Thanks for joining us today. As always, check our website, etcconnect.com, for the release notes and the manual supplement.